Alright, so in the first lecture, we are going to mainly deal with the application of activity-based management. So before starting this, sorry, before starting this lecture, let's start with the with reading the requirement. Okay, fine. Let me give you a disclaimer. This question actually belongs to the previous stream, so there is no professional marks attached to this question, right? So it's just a simple 25 marks question. Currently, these days, examiner do not ask for complete 25 marks question. It keep a question for 20 marks, and then 5 marks are requirement for the 5 marks are actually dedicated to the professional marks, right? So it's a different concept, and it has been examined previously. So this question doesn't include those professional marks, right? So advise the CEO. So you are supposed to keep your tone on an advising mode. How to do that, right? How activity based costing could be implemented, right? So the implementation of ABC is required, how you are supposed to do that. And keep this thing in your mind that this is just a 4 marks. I From day one I believe that it's really very important to keep marking a scheme in your mind while writing the answer, because you are supposed to write accordingly, don't overwrite, right? This is the first requirement. Assess whether it may be more appropriate to use activity based costing in timber and steel division. We don't know what is timber, we don't know what is steel, but this is some sort of assessment type of thing. Sorry, assess whether it may be more appropriate to use ABC in timber and steel division than the costing basis currently used. So actually, currently used is mostly absorption costing, right? Because ABC is usually compared with absorption costing. So probably you are supposed to deal with this idea of compare if ABC is more accurate compared to the costing system which the company is currently using, right? So let's see what is given in the question. Let's see what we can do here. DIBEL is formed of two autonomous divisions. Now this is a very important statement. When we are saying autonomous division, this means that the division can take all of their decision at their own. I mean, if they want to manufacture a component, they can. If they don't want to manufacture a product, they can discontinue it. If they want to include specific properties in their product, they can. If they don't want to include it, they may discontinue. Head office is not going to intervene in that. That's the simple idea, right? So DIBEL is found of two divisions, timber division and steel division, and manufacture components for use in construction industry. DIBEL has always, now this is important, DIBEL has always absorbed production overheads through the cost of each product on the basis of machine hours, right? So machine hours are currently used as an activity level. Let me try to write it just to know. Activity level is actually machine hours. Okay, timber division. Timber division manufacture timber frames, right? Used to support the roof of new houses. The timber which is purchased pre-cut to the correct length and is assembled into finished frames by the factory worker who fasten the components together. Timber division manufactures 6 standard size of frames which is sufficient for use in most newly built houses, right? So try to pause this video and try to think what can we understand from this particular concept, this particular line. See, if the question is saying 6 standard sizes of frame, that means your number of your sizes are not going to change, right? And standard, probably it is actually reflecting a standard kind of product. There's not so much customization, there's nothing new coming in the product. And the second point here is sufficient for mostly newly built houses. That means probably in future the company is also not expecting to change its product design or requirement. Things are going to be smooth throughout the production process. Steel division manufacture frames and roofs support for use in small commercial buildings, right, such as shops and restaurants. So it is manufacturing frames and roof supports. There is a large range of product. Now this is important. There is a large range of products, right? And many customers also specify bespoke designs. For those who don't know what is bespoke design, bespoke is anything which you manufacture on demand. For example, if I go and just buy the furniture, that means I bought ready-made furniture. But if I go and I customize it, then that means I'm buying, the company is capable of providing me the bespoke software, something which is on demand type of thing. And many customers also specify bespoke designs for short production runs or for one-off building projects. Now what do you mean by one-off building projects? It will not be required for the next projects. I mean, this is a one-off kind of thing, right? You manufactured it and that's it. You don't need to, you will not be needing to manufacture the product again in future. Steel is cut and drilled during using the division's own programmable computer-aided manufacturing machinery and is bolted together and welded by hands, right? Steel division strategy is to produce novel bespoke products at a price comparable to the simpler and more conventional products offered by its competitors, right? So what's given here? The company is producing a customized product, and the prices, surprisingly, the prices are comparable to the simple and more conventional product offered by competitor. Try to think what is the problem here. Pause this video and try to think. See, the problem is the company is manufacturing customized product, but it is keeping its selling price similar to the simpler and more conventional products offered by its competitor, right? So though I am manufacturing customized product, but I am keeping my selling price equivalent or similar to those products which are regular products, which is available in the market. Do you really think it's a good idea? No, it's not a good idea, because if you are manufacturing something customized, then obviously you should charge a premium price for that. Why you are selling it on the regular price? This is a questionable thing, right? For example, many of the steel division's customers choose. Now here is an example. Many of the steel division customers choose to have steel covered in one of the wide variety of colored paints and other protective coatings at the end of the production process, right? So this is a kind of request by the customer. This is a kind of requirement by the customer. This is performed off-site by a subcontractor, who after which the product is returned. After which the product is returned to the steel division for dispatch to the customer, right? Now what this process is, if a customer wants to cover its steel from by colored paints and protective coating, just to avoid rust and other things, it can be done, but that is not done by the company. That is done by offsite by a contractor, right? After which the product is returned to steel division for dispatch to the customer, right? Customers are charged the subcontractor's cost plus 10% markup for choosing this option. So whatever the cost of subcontractor is, what the company is doing, subcontractor cost plus 10% of markup. Makes sense, right? Okay. The board of steel division has admitted that this pricing structure may be too simplistic, and then it is unsure of the overall profitability and sales of some groups of products of or sector of the market. Recently, several customers have complained. Now there is another problem. Sorry, this is the first problem probably. Recently, several customers have complained that incorrectly applied paints has flagged off to steel after only a few months use. More seriously, a fast food restaurant has commenced litigation with Dibble after it has to close for a week while steel roof frames supplied by the steel division were repainted. So there is a complaint by the customer of not doing the work properly at the first time. So the company is providing reservicing to the customer. Following this, the production manager has proposed increasing the number of staff. So what the company is doing, what the Dibble company is doing, for this the production manager has proposed increasing the number of staff inspecting the quality of coating on the frames and purchasing expensive imaging machinery to make inspection more efficient. Now try to think. Pause this video, reread this line, this point, and try to think what is the problem, and is company doing the correct, is taking the correct step of for solving the problem. The problem was that the coating was not done properly, right? Because that was flacking off. And what the company is doing, because this is something which has been done by the subcontractor, right? Coating is done by the subcontractor. So what the company is doing, company is increasing the inspection. Obviously, because company is not manufacturing the product, or what company can do, it can increase the inspection. But increasing inspection is actually the additional cost. I mean, we are just catching the criminals. We are not removing the reason which is actually creating the criminals, right? So here we are also just inspecting the problem, and we are not trying to remove the cause of problem. So that's basically the issue. The CEO at Dibble has approached you as a performance management expert for your advice. At a conference recently, I watched a presentation by a CEO at a similar business to ours talking about the advantages and disadvantages of using activity-based costing, and how several years the adoption of activity-based cost management has helped them to improve both the strategic and operational levels. So this is a kind of hint to the students that this is something which you are supposed to deal with. I don't want you to do any detailed calculation at this stage, but I would like you to know more about activity-based costing and activity-based management. I would like to know more about ABC and ABM and know whether they would be useful for Dibble company or not. Now, this is a very important line. See, the company is currently not performing activity-based costing. It's not using ABC or ABM. So while writing the answer, it's really very important to start your answer with a basic introduction of ABC or ABM, whether it's required by the question or not. Sometimes you are just supposed to start with the application process, whether ABC will be applicable for the company or not. But still, you have to write 2 to 3 lines for this concept, because the company is not using it. Company is trying to introduce it. So introduction in a particular introduction actually require you to write the basic idea of the topic, whether it's ABC, whether it's ABM, whether it's transfer pricing, whether it's value based management, whether it's beyond budgeting, whether this is anything, right? So you are provided with the extract of most recent management accounting for accounts for timber steel division. Revenues are given, material cost is given, direct labor is given, subcontractor costs are given, basic things are given. An analysis of production overhead cost is also given, right? There are how many steps? Setup time for CAM machinery, machining time, storage of goods. Let's try to read it properly. Setup time for CAM machinery, right? This is the time which you require to set up the machinery. machining time, storage of goods awaiting or return from subcontractor, transfer of goods to and from subcontractor, inspection and testing, and total production overheads. Right. See, these are the total production overheads. Right. So advise the CEO how activity based costing could be implemented. This is a very simple idea. I'm not going to discuss this. First, we are going to start with this part, the assessment of whether it may be more appropriate to use activity based costing in timber and steel division rather than current costing system. So currently the company is using machine hours to absorb the overhead. See, in the previous discussion we have already discussed that there are few conditions required for the use of activity based costing. The first condition is that there should be multiple products. Right, there should be multiple products which the company is manufacturing. If the company is manufacturing one or two products, it will not be much beneficial. If the company is manufacturing multiple products, wide variety of products, then definitely ABC is more relevant in that case. There should be products are different in nature. Right. If the company is manufacturing different type of products, for example, one product require high quality inspection, other product does not. One product can be manufactured in large production runs. You can manufacture 5,000 units in a batch, and the other product you cannot manufacture more than 500 units per batch. So it can be this kind of different in product nature. And the third category which we discussed is that major overheads should not be overhead should not be sorry if overheads are diluted. If major overheads, right, for example 80% 90% overheads are related to one single cost pool, it's useless to use ABC. And there's one more thing, overhead should be a major portion of total overhead. This is something which we have already discussed in the previous video, the introductory video, right? So these are few things which are important. So let's try to apply this, right? Let's try to apply these one by one. First, let's start application in the timber division, right? All right. The first thing is that first of all you need to identify whether the overheads are making a major portion of total cost, right? So what are the overheads of timber? The total overheads of timber is 205,000, right? Try to calculate if this is becoming the major cost pool. Sorry, if this is making the major part of your total cost. Okay, so the total overheads are 205,000, right? And if you divide it with the total cost is this one, 12,000 plus 4,500 plus 75 plus these 205, because this is also the part of your total cost now. So it's 1.22%, right? These overheads are 1.22% of total cost, right? What about the second one? Let's try to recalculate the second one. Let me calculate the total cost first. 10,100 plus 850. We are just adding these figures. Plus 650 plus 4472, 16,072, right? And 4472 divided by 16,072, 27.8%, right? So the timber division is actually total overheads of timber division are just 1.22% of the total cost. This means what? This is a very important statement. This means what? This means that if you apply activity based costing, suppose if we say that okay fine, company should use activity based costing, then what will happen? Your 1.22 minus 100% is approximately 97.8, I guess, or 98.8, I think. So your 98.8% of cost will remain same, because that is not the overhead. Activity based costing is actually the problem of overhead, distribution of overhead. So that will remain same. What will change? Just 1.22%. So obviously, I mean the first point is against the use of ABC, because if someone is recommending it, that means you are supposed to do so much work just to change 1.22% of the cost, right? So the first point is not in favor of ABC, that is against ABC, right? The second one is what? And what about the steel division? Yes, steel division total overheads are 28%, which is a significant amount. So let's try to write it here. For timber division, it's yes. For steel, for timber division, it's no. For steel division, it's yes, right? And then if the company is manufacturing multiple products, okay fine, is timber division manufacturing multiple products? Timber division manufactures 6 standard sizes of frame, which is sufficient for use in mostly newly built houses. So probably the product is same, the only thing which changes is the size of the product, size of the component, right? And what about the steel division? Is this manufacturing multiple type of product? Yes, there is a large range of products, this one. So if the company is manufacturing a large range of products, then definitely, and many customers also specify the bespoke design, right? So these two are in favor of using ABC, right? So the company timber is not exactly manufacturing multiple products, it's just this different in size. And steel division is manufacturing multiple products, yes. Different in nature. Timber division is just manufacturing different sizes, so probably no. And steel division, yes, because they are manufacturing the customized product. If major overheads are not related to a single cost pools, so let's see what is the major overhead here in timber division. 120, right? So 120 upon 205, 59% approximately, 58.5. So the problem is the total overheads are approximately 1.22% of the total cost, and out of total overheads, the overheads are say 58% concentrated to a single cost pool. So obviously this is not going again in favor of ABC. What about the steel division? Steel division 395,000 out of 4472. 395,000 divided by 4472, that is 8.8%. So obviously it's not major, right? So If major overheads are not related to a single pool, timber division, it's a yes, because major overheads are related. It's not exactly yes, but 58% is not a smaller amount. And steel division, compared to steel division, it's a definitely no. So probably steel division should continue, timber division should continue with the current system, and steel division will probably continue with move to ABC, right? But there is a problem. If you see this data, timber division, try to identify if timber division continue with the current system of absorbing overheads on the basis of machine hours. Is it really correct? Pause this video and think. No. The problem is machine time in timber department is 0. See this one. Machine time in timber division is 0. So how can you distribute overheads on the basis of machine hours? Obviously it's not a good idea. It's impossible. It's impractical. It's not a practical idea. So how can you do that? See, if not machine hours, then what? Let's try to analyze what this division is doing. See, storage of goods awaiting and return from the subcontractor, transfer of goods to and from subcontractor, inspection and testing. So mostly things are related with storage of goods. So what we can do here is we can say that okay, fine, company can distribute its cost on the basis of material cost, you may say, maybe material cost or maybe material quantity, but not on the basis of machine hours. So here we also have a recommendation that company should not use machine hours. Rather, it may use something which is related to store department or storage of machinery, because mostly overheads are related to that. So for that, company can use either a quantity of inventory, quantity of material, or the cost of material, whatever company wants to do, right? So this is basically the end of first part, right? And before moving ahead, let me try to show you how to write the same answer, right? I'm not going to read this. I am just opening this. Pause this video and read this first part. Okay, I hope you have read that. See, initially what we did in the starting, we introduced what is the concept of activity based costing. I forgot to put a full stop here, right? And then we can say okay, fine, how can we implement it? We made an idea of how to implement it, right? Okay, I think I made a mistake. I think I wrote it 2 times. Just ignore this, right? Okay, so and the next thing which we discussed is how if activity based costing can be used. So there are few conditions required for the implementation of A. This is not B, this is A part 2, right? There are few conditions required for the implementation of ABC. We wrote those conditions, right? What are these conditions? And then we wrote if company is if timber or steel division is actually fulfilling those conditions or not. You may read this part. Okay. Now we are moving towards the next part, right? The next part is what? The next part says that advise the CEO. Again, your tone should be on advising terms. Advise the CEO how activity based management could be used to improve its business performance in DIBEL. Now, while writing the requirement, examiner is not mentioning whether it wants a strategic ABM or an operational ABM, right? But in the question it has mentioned this part. that how several years the adoption of activity based management has helped them to improve both ABM at a strategic and operational level both. So if you miss this line, you will probably miss something in part B. So try to read the question very carefully, because sometimes requirement is clear. Sorry, I'm taking my words back. Now these days requirements are not like this, that your requirements are not actually the requirements. Requirement says that you are supposed to fulfill the requirements of CEO, right? You act according to the requirement of CEO. So you have to play some sort of treasure hunt, that you have to identify what is the requirement of CEO in the question, right? So let's start with what is the first part? Strategic. So let's start with the strategic ABM. Strategic ABM was what? A strategic ABM was actually the idea of identifying value added product or value added services, or a profitable product or a profitable service, right? So timber division is not using ABC, so let's ignore timber division. I'm just pausing this video for a while, and I want you all to read this read this whole steel division information again, and try to identify that what can be used as a strategic ABM. In simpler words, profitable product, or a profitable or not profitable product, or profitable or not profitable service. Any of these two. Pause this video. All right. So the only example which is given here is this one. This part. For example, many of the steel division customer chooses to have steel covered in one of the wide variety of colored paints and other protective coatings at the end of production process, right? This is performed off-site by contractor, after which the product is returned to steel division for dispatch to the customer. Customers are charged subcontractor cost plus 10% markup for choosing this option, right? So what is given here? Try to identify if something about subcontractor is given in this part. Okay, so see what the situation is. Subcontractor cost is 650, right? So subcontractor cost is 650, and what the company is charging from the customer is 650 plus 10% markup, right? Let me try to calculate that. So 650 times 110% is 715, right? So this is basically the amount which we are charging from the customer, right? And do we really bearing the 650 cost? No. The problem is we are not actually bearing this only 650 cost. Rather, how much cost we are bearing? See, transfer of goods to and from subcontractor. This is what? Sorry. This is basically what? This is basically This is basically what? This is basically transfer of goods to and from subcontractor. Is basically you are sending your products to the subcontractor, and then you want your products back, and this will cost you around 300,000, right? And storage of goods awaiting or return from subcontractor, both of these costs are related to subcontracting services, right? I mean those who actually wants to have these services. Now what is the overall cost then? See, 650 is the direct cost plus 395 plus 300, right? If you add these three products, let me try to do it on a separate calculator. 650 plus 695 is actually 1345 most probably. So you are bearing a cost of 1345, but you are recovering only 715, right? So this means what? This means that the company is not recovering, charging enough to the customer in order to recover all these costs, right? So either do something regarding it or to discontinue the manufacturing, right? So this is basically a non-value added product which we have identified. Right, how much of these marks? 13 marks. Okay, fine. And you can do two things. You can either reduce this cost, which we will see in the next concept of operational ABM. The first idea is to reduce this cost, either eliminate this cost or discontinue this subcontracting services. But you have to make sure that if you discontinue, because this is a kind of customization, right? This may be something which customer is actually coming to your organization for this, right? So if you discontinue, you may lose the customer, so you have to think twice before discontinuing that, whether whether it will affect the sales of other product adversely, and what will be the overall impact. But if you consider it as a sole product, sole service, it's not advisable to continue, right? Now what is the second part? Second is operational ABM. See, operational ABM is actually what? Operational ABM means to identify the value added and the non value added product, right? So this one was for strategic, right? For operational, we need to identify whether the service is a value added or not. Now setup, let's start with the easier one. What about the machine time? Do you think machine time is a value added activity? Pause this video. Okay, fine, pause this video and try to think for all these 5 activities whether these are value added activities or a non value added activities. Alright, machine value, machine time, it's a value added activity. Setup time for CAM machinery, it's actually a secondary services. Secondary activity means this is neither a value added activity nor a non value added activity. It's a kind of activity which is necessary for the production process but not adding value. So obviously you cannot eliminate this, but you will try to reduce this as much as possible. While the machine time, you should not try to change machine time, because this is something which is actually adding value to the product, right? Now what about the remaining 3? Storage of goods awaiting or return from subcontractor. We have stored the goods because we will send it to subcontractor when it is required, right? When they want it, we will send it. When they have a capacity, we will send it. And after completing the work, subcontractor will return it to us, right? So try to pause this video and think whether this is a value added activity or not, number 1. And if it is a non value added activity, can we remove that? Can we eliminate that? Yes, it's a non value added activity. Let me try to clear this space if I can, or let's move to this part. Okay, fine. This is a non value added activity. Why? Because you are sending your product and you are receiving your product and you are storing it, right? Let's talk these two. Transfer of goods to and from subcontractor, this is also a non value added activity, right? How can you reduce or eliminate? Let's talk about transfer of goods to and from subcontractor first, because this is the easier one. What if you don't want to transfer it to the subcontractor, or you don't want it back from subcontractor? What you can do? Pause this video and think, because you have to think in the paper. See, the first idea which can be done is what we are doing. We are we are sending it to customer, and then we want it back. Let me try to clear this part. This is performed by subcontractor, after which the product is returned to steel division for dispatch to the customer. So what we can do here is we can send directly, we can send the product directly to the customer. Right. But because I was doing this in a class as well, so there was a debate going on this topic. If we send this product directly to the customer, then there is an issue. What is the issue? See, the problem is we are actually doing some inspection after we are getting the product from the subcontractor, right? Following this, the production manager has proposed increasing the number of staffing, right? So we were inspecting the goods, right? So what if we send it directly to the customer? How can we? What will be the inspection process? I mean, how can we carry out the inspection process? Think. We can send someone from our company. We can send our employees, not our employees, Dibble company can send its employees to the subcontractor for inspection. Now few students may argue, see, the concept of professional acumen comes here because commercial acumen actually says that whether this advice which you are giving in the question, in the answer, is that practically applicable. See, if you send your people, your employees to the subcontractor, then the problem is we have also purchased a machinery, something. We have also purchased an imaging machinery to make more efficient inspection. So obviously, is it possible to to have to transfer the machinery from our company to supplier, whether supplier will be willing to accept our setup in his factory, right? So transferring of I'm just discussing this and then we will summarize it. Transferring of machinery can be the issue. So these are the issues, and there is a problem. See, the problem is subcontractor, we are doing all these efforts for the subcontractor and we are receiving complaints against his work. So what else we can do? We can try to offer the services from our own premises, right? So what we can do is we can start providing the service from Dibble company's outlet, Dibble company's production facility, if possible. If we have those capabilities, we can do that, because that will eliminate this transfer of goods to and from customer. That will completely eliminate that. And we can also see, we can insist for taking services from subcontractor only if he is doing the work perfectly, which is not the case in this here. The second one is the storage of goods awaiting or return from subcontractor. This cost will also, we will be able to control this cost also, because if you are managing your inventory at your own, right, if you are doing work at your own, then obviously you can control the pace, right? So storage of goods to the subcontractor, because if you are sending into the subcontractor, you have to make few things in advance, because obviously you will send it accordingly, or you will get it back maybe on the due time. But if you are doing everything at your own, it will help you to manage your inventory, right? So this will not eliminate exactly, but this will reduce your storage cost as well. And both of these, this step will also help to eliminate a transportation cost and to manage storage cost, right? What's next? Inspection and testing. Inspection and testing, is it a value added activity or a non value added activity? Think. It's a non value added activity. Now the student usually start screaming after listening this, but my point is, see, the main issue is it adding value to the product? No, it is not adding value to the product. It's just a confirmation to you that whatever you are manufacturing is 100% correct. You can pass it to the customer, right? But what if you manufacture, see, you inspect only if you are expecting something bad may happen, so you start inspecting it. If you have processes, accurate processes, then you can reduce this cost to acceptably low level, to a reasonably low level. So I'm not saying that this can be eliminated. Maybe the company needs to continue with this, but this is a non-value added activity. 425 is a huge amount. 425 is a huge amount. It's approximately 10% of your total cost. So try to reduce it. Try to work more on the prevention parts. I think you guys have studied the concept of prevention cost, appraisal cost, internal and external failure cost, which is the part of TQM. So if you invest more in prevention cost, let me give you an example. See, if we buy good quality material, if we have a good production force, if we have good machinery available, if production facility is good, if our R&D is good, then obviously there is no chance that you will end up making a bad product. There are high chances that whatever you are manufacturing will be perfect. But if your machinery is not up to date, if your workers are new, if you are compromising in the quality of material, then definitely there are chances that your product will be substandard. So try to work more on preventive steps rather than correcting steps. Okay. So this is basically the idea. I think students know this TQM concept, so that can be done. So at strategic level, this is basically something which we can identify at a strategic level, that this is something which we need to look at, and how we can and see the problem we had identified was this one. These are two costs which were too high. So we identified that how we can reduce or eliminate these costs by using activity based costing, right? So this was for 13 marks. 13 marks means, let me tell you, okay fine, let me tell you the marking scheme now. Marking scheme is this one. Improving performance using ABM, 1 mark per point, maximum of 13 marks, simple, right? So you just need to identify, we have identified 5 areas to be value added or a non value added, right? So 5 areas for the identification of value and non value added activity, and then there is few discussion how that can be eliminated or improved, so at least 2 to 3 marks for that. And then the strategic level ABM, we have identified the service which is producing losses, we have calculated its loss, and we came up with the idea that this is not a profitable product, right? So and you can start with what is the concept of strategic ABM and operational ABM, right? So this is basically how we can write the same answer. See, this is basically what I was trying to communicate. Value added at operational level, at operational level there can be two type of activities, value added and non value added activities. This is just an introduction part. Value added activities means what, and non value added activities means what, and then in the same paragraph we have identified what is a value added and a non value added activity. Setup time is not a value added activity. I should have shown it in a separate paragraph, but you have to keep your wordings accordingly. Then at a strategic level, it's really very what are the strategic activity ABM. We give an introduction. Why? Because this is a new concept for the company, and then we identified why we think that this is a non-value added activity, non-value added service or product. Right. So this is basically how we can write the answer. See, there are few things which are very important. Three things need to identify, especially two parts. The first part, as I said, that if you are introducing a new concept, you must write its basic introduction. And the second one is you have to justify whatever you are writing. If you are saying that this is a non-value added activity, you have to tell the reason why. If you are saying it's a value added activity, you have to tell the reason why. You cannot just write this is a value added or a non-value added activity. If you are saying this is a value added activity, you should write that why this is a value added activity, because machine time is necessary for the production process. If you are saying transportation is a non value added activity, why? Because transportation is just a cost which is adding cost to your to overhead. It's not adding value. You can do the same work at your own company, or you can find someone in the vicinity who can do the same work. I mean, you can reduce the distance as much as possible. You can eliminate the transportation cost if you are working it at home. So this cost can be easily eliminated, right? So this is basically the end of the first introductory session, in which we have discussed the basic idea of activity based costing, right? I hope you understood this question. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.